Hello, hello. I hope you guys have had a great day. I have had a very blessed day. I got to spend some time with some friends today. Went back to work and working on getting my body back where it's supposed to be. I wanted to talk to you guys about not only my word for this year, but my scripture that I'm dedicating for this year. And it's a very dear scripture to me. I have a really good friend that a few years ago got me started prayerfully seeking a word. And there is a little survey that I took that helped guide me to the word. But if the word did not fit, then you're not stuck with it, because God will clearly show you what you're supposed to be working on. But I hope everyone's working on being the best you can be. And I shared that last year, my word was confidence. And I worked really hard for most of the year. I can't swear that I did great every day on that. But I actually started out the year thinking it would be confidence in myself and my ability. And it very clearly, by the end of the year, was proved to be confidence in the Lord and the faith that He will carry me through. And so this year, my word is thrive. And I like that word. But then I started trying to find a scripture to go with it. And I found myself praying a lot because I could not find the scripture that sits well with the word. And I had found one that I thought, yeah, that will work. But if I'm going to spend a whole year focusing on something, I really didn't want it to just be something I settled for. I wanted it to be what God wanted me to use. And on New Year's Day, one of my very dear friends had shared a scripture, and it spoke to me on every level. There's an amazing story that I may share later with it. But anyway, it just became very clear that this should be my scripture. And it doesn't actually say the word thrive, but that's okay. It doesn't have to. My original scripture that I was going to use, and I do like the scripture. It says, it's from Proverbs 11:28, and I have really been enjoying Proverbs lately. But this one says, those who trust in their riches will fall, but the righteous will thrive like a green leaf. And I like that scripture because it talks about, that you're not supposed to look at your riches. You're not supposed to look at anything of this world. You're supposed to look at what the Lord has for you. But my scripture also talks about that. And and I was actually going to read the entire scripture, but God has reset me again. So I'm only going to read my focus scripture and tell the story that goes with it. So you may or may not know, because not everyone knows my story, but when I was 49, when I turned 49, I decided that I was going to run a 5K. And that became a very big goal in my life. I wanted to do it before I turned 50. And I'm thankful to say the Lord let me do that. But when I was first beginning, I don't know if you're a runner. I was not a runner. I absolutely have never been one to want to run. And so in my running, I would run for a few minutes and stop, run for a few minutes and stopped. And I'll be honest, I felt really silly out there, just running for spurts and stopping. And I was listening to a song, and at the end of the song, there was a child that read this scripture. And it really spoke to me. And I actually wound up with tears and able to run longer. And that became a focal for me then. Not really my focal for the year, but just for that spell, that just for the running part. And you may already know the scripture, but it's so much more than that when you break it down. So the scripture is Isaiah 40:31. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint. And I love that scripture. And like I said, I'll eventually read the entire scripture that goes with that. But I love that scripture because it talks about so much more than, I just took out what I needed in that moment. And I love how scripture does that. It meets you right where you're at and it gives you what you need at that moment. And when I was out there on that road, I needed to hear the words about running and not growing weary. But it's not just running, physically running. It's about talking about our race with life and renewing our spirit. The Lord shall renew our strength. Isn't that amazing? That he loves us so much that all we have to do is call upon his name and he will renew your whole purpose, your whole being, your soul. I hope that moves you like it does me. I love you guys very much.